1979 Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. The communist government of Afghanistan faced growing unrest. Harsh crackdowns on political opponents, religious scholars, and intellectual elites fueled civil war. The Khalq faction sought to rapidly transform Afghanistan, canceling farmer debts and discarding long-held Islamic traditions. But it was their assault on Islamic values that sparked open rebellion. Fearing the collapse of a pro-communist ally, the Soviet Union invaded. Among those answering the call to jihad was Osama bin Laden, the wealthy Saudi heir who saw the war as a holy struggle, Islam versus godless communism. Bin Laden quickly gained influence, organizing mujahideen fighters against Soviet forces. Meanwhile, the United States, alongside allies, funneled money and weapons through Pakistan to aid the Afghan resistance. Oversight was nearly non-existent. Nobody considered who would rise to power after the war, or how they might view America. While no direct proof links U.S. funds to bin Laden's fighters, the lack of accountability left the possibility wide open. In fact, Western media even praised bin Laden during this period, painting him as a heroic figure of resistance. 1988, the birth of al-Qaeda. Tensions rose between Arab volunteers and Afghan leaders. Abdullah Azzam, head of the Maktab al-Qidamat, wanted Arabs integrated into Afghan militias. But bin Laden resisted, demanding his Arab fighters remain separate with a stronger military role. This split led to the creation of al-Qaeda group dedicated, in their words, to lifting the word of God, making his religion victorious. Secretly formed with the support of Egyptian Islamic Jihad leaders, al-Qaeda combined bin Laden's wealth with the military experience of hardened jihadists. The vision, a global jihad that would outlive the Soviet conflict. 1989, Soviet withdrawal. The Soviets pulled out of Afghanistan, leaving a power vacuum. Bin Laden returned to Saudi Arabia as a self-proclaimed jihadist hero. He continued his family's business, but also used his new fame to criticize the Saudi monarchy. Bin Laden attempted to use al-Qaeda fighters in Yemen against the pro-Soviet Yemeni Socialist Party, but Saudi leadership blocked him. He even plotted assassinations to derail Yemeni unification, again stopped by Saudi authorities. These clashes deepened his rift with the monarchy. Back in Afghanistan, unity among mujahideen collapsed into infighting. In March, bin Laden led 800 Arab fighters in the Battle of Jalalabad, aiming to overthrow the Soviet-backed regime. His poor leadership cost many lives, and the mission failed. 1990, strange alliances and new enemies. In an unlikely move, bin Laden partnered with communist General Shana Wastanai in a failed coup attempt against Afghan leadership. When this collapsed, bin Laden pressured Pakistan to file a no-confidence motion against Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto. They refused. That same year, Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, threatening Saudi Arabia itself. The Saudis, fearing Iraq's powerful arsenal, turned to the United States. King Fahd accepted U.S. military protection in exchange for deeper ties with Washington. Bin Laden strongly opposed the decision. He offered to defend the kingdom with his Arab fighters, claiming foreign troops desecrated holy lands. But when pressed on Iraq's chemical weapons, his only answer was faith. King Fahd rejected him and welcomed the Americans. For bin Laden, this was a turning point. He condemned the monarchy and lobbied religious leaders to issue a fatwa against U.S. troops in Saudi Arabia. They refused. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, the FBI raided the New Jersey home of al-Sayed Nozair on November 8th, uncovering evidence of al-Qaeda-linked plots. This marked the first discovered terror network tied to bin Laden on U.S. soil. 1991, exile and surveillance. Bin Laden's outspoken criticism of the Saudi monarchy led to his house arrest, then to exile. Now officially under U.S. surveillance, he moved back into Afghanistan, tracked through local informants, and intercepted communications. 1992, a new base in Sudan. Relocating to Sudan, bin Laden invested in legitimate businesses, farms, construction, even a tannery. The Sudanese government welcomed him, offering visas to fellow mujahideen. Bin Laden financed the relocation of hundreds of veteran fighters, embedding al-Qaeda in Sudanese society. He poured millions into infrastructure, agriculture, and local businesses, earning popularity among the poor. Yet, his relocation gave al-Qaeda a safe haven to rebuild. That December, a bomb exploded in an Aden hotel once used by U.S. troops en route to Somalia. The soldiers had already left, but 2 Austrian tourists died. Later, U.S. intelligence alleged this was bin Laden's first sponsored attack. 1993, the first World Trade Center bombing on February 26, a truck bomb exploded beneath the World Trade Center, aiming to topple the towers. 6 people died, and over 1,000 were injured. Investigators traced the blast to a rented van. When suspect Mohammed Salamat tried to reclaim his deposit, he was arrested. Soon after, authorities uncovered a wider conspiracy, links to al-Qaeda, dangerous chemicals, and cyanide gas stores capable of mass killings. Plots targeting the UN, New York tunnels, and other landmarks were exposed. The bombing's mastermind, Ramzi Youssef, evaded capture, but his role in al-Qaeda's expanding network became clear. 1994 exposure and isolation. A warehouse raid in New York uncovered al-Qaeda-linked terrorists preparing bombs. Intelligence confirmed bin Laden's financing of training camps in Sudan. Saudi Arabia stripped him of citizenship and froze his assets, while the U.S. designated Sudan a state sponsor of terrorism. His former stipend $7 million annually was cut off. Support within Sudan began to waver. 1995, growing restlessness. Ramzi Youssef was captured in Pakistan, but al-Qaeda plot spread. Bin Laden, under pressure in Sudan, narrowly survived assassination attempts. He wrote to King Fahd, urging a guerrilla war to expel U.S. troops from Saudi Arabia. The king ignored him. Later that year, a bombing at a Saudi National Guard training center killed 5 Americans and 2 Indians. Though bin Laden denied involvement, the attackers admitted his propaganda influenced them. They were publicly executed. 1996, expelled again facing international pressure, Sudan expelled bin Laden. He lost millions liquidating his businesses before fleeing to Afghanistan with 300 fighters. There, he formed a powerful alliance with Mullah Omar, leader of the Taliban. In the U.S., President Bill Clinton quietly signed a directive authorizing the CIA to destroy al-Qaeda by any means. Soon after, a truck bomb devastated the Cobra Towers in Saudi Arabia, killing 19 Americans. Though later tied to Iranian-backed groups, suspicion initially fell on bin Laden that same year. Bin Laden issued his first public declaration of jihad, calling for U.S. forces to be driven from the Arabian Peninsula, the Saudi monarchy overthrown, and Muslim Holy Lands liberated. Interestingly, he initially limited his threats to U.S. military and political targets, not civilians. By September, bin Laden was interviewed for a British documentary. Looking straight into the camera, he threatened America, "If you do not leave the Middle East, I will wage holy war against you." 1997, the Spotlight CNN aired an interview with bin Laden where he accused Washington of turning Saudi Arabia into an American colony. He again denounced the monarchy as U.S. puppets. Rumors swirled of a U.S.-backed mercenary force tasked with capturing or killing him. At the same time, his ties with the Taliban deepened. Cut off from his family fortune, bin Laden sought funding from former anti-Soviet backers, Pakistan's EC, and global supporters. To expand operations, he took control of Afghan Airlines, turning it into a smuggling operation for militants, weapons, cash, and even opium. The CIA labeled it a terrorist taxi service. 1998, open war. Libya issued the first Interpol arrest warrant for bin Laden, accusing him of involvement in the murder of a German intelligence agent and his wife. That year, a U.S. grand jury indicted him for conspiring to attack American defense targets. More importantly, bin Laden broke a key Islamic tradition by issuing a fatwa calling for the killing of American civilians. This declaration, made alongside other radical groups under the banner of the World Islamic Front, marked a turning point. Intelligence raids in Albania uncovered documents and computers tied to al-Qaeda operatives. Meanwhile, Egypt was reeling from terrorist massacres like the 1997 Luxor attack, where dozens of foreign tourists were slaughtered. Many linked the ideology and funding back to bin Laden. 1999, the web tightens. By the late 1990s, Osama bin Laden had become the face of a new global threat. From his base in Afghanistan, he issued statements declaring war not just on the US, but on all Western influence in Muslim lands. American intelligence knew al-Qaeda was dangerous, but the scale of its operations was still underestimated. Inside training camps, recruits from across the Middle East, North Africa, and even Europe were being prepared for missions that spanned continents. That same year, al-Qaeda operatives attempted another large-scale attack, the Millennium Plot. Their plan was to bomb Los Angeles International Airport as Americans celebrated the New Year. The attack was narrowly foiled when border officials caught one operative with explosives in his car entering from Canada. It was a chilling reminder. Al-Qaeda wasn't just looking at targets overseas anymore, it was now aiming at the U.S. homeland. 2000, the USS Cole attack on October 12, 2000, the American warship USS Cole docked in Yemen for refueling. Sailors on board believed they were safe, but as a small boat approached, disguised as a civilian vessel, two suicide bombers detonated powerful explosives. The blast ripped through the Cole's hull, killing 17 U.S. sailors and injuring dozens more. The message was clear: even the world's most powerful navy wasn't untouchable. American investigators quickly traced the attack back to al-Qaeda. Yet, once again, despite evidence piling up, Washington hesitated to strike hard inside Afghanistan. Bin Laden's network remained intact, emboldened by every successful operation. 2001, the final preparations as the new millennium began, al-Qaeda was already plotting its most ambitious operation yet. Years of planning, training, and recruiting had led to what they called the Plains Operation. Throughout 2000 and into 2001, operatives slipped quietly into the United States. Some enrolled in flight schools, learning not just how to fly, but how to control commercial airliners. To the outside world, they looked like ordinary students. In reality, they were soldiers on a suicide mission. Meanwhile, U.S. intelligence had fragments of warnings chatter about a major attack, reports of unusual activity, but the pieces never came together in time. Agencies were divided, leads were missed, and urgency was lost in bureaucracy. Then came the summer of 2001. In July, a memo circulated inside the CIA with the chilling title, "Bin Laden Determined to Strike in the U.S." It warned of potential hijackings, yet, even then, no immediate action followed. September 10, 2001, on the eve of the attacks, al-Qaeda's operatives were already in place. They had boarded planes before, practiced dry runs, and rehearsed their roles. To them, everything was set. For the world, it was just another ordinary Monday. But within 24 hours, history would change forever.